Hello and what is going on today, guys? Tomcat here, and welcome to some more gameplay of Forza Horizon 4 from the recent stream that was just live today. Now, what we're going to be looking at today is winter, and we're going to be looking at a couple of other features as well, but the main thing today is we're going to be looking at some free roam gameplay with the Ford Raptor in the same place that they actually started driving around in the last stream, but in winter. So this is around the northern area of the map, and you can see everything is covered in snow. The roads are gorgeous. The mountains are gorgeous. The landscape is gorgeous. And they answered a lot of interesting questions about winter in this stream. Now, will all the water be frozen over? No. There will be some water that is frozen over, some water that is not. Will all roads be covered in snow? No. There will be certain areas of the map where snow will cover the roads. There are certain areas of the map where snow will not cover the roads. Will snow cover everything? No. There will be areas of the map where snow does cover everything. There will be areas of the map where it's just like kind of, little bits of slush and things like that. Now, this is also, that mechanic is also worked into where on the map you are. So if you're up north, yeah, it's going to be covered in snow. But if you're down south, it's going to be a little bit less, stuff not going to necessarily be covered, and it might just be flurrying a little bit. So this actually handles a lot of the things that I talked about in my previous video, where I talked about seasons and I talked about what people were worried about in regards to seasons, because this actually eliminates a lot of that, because they said that they wanted to make sure that winter wasn't this massive difficulty spike or wasn't this massive inconvenience for a lot of people that like to just drive hypercars and race cars and things like that. So if you are primarily like a car focused, like tarmac focused driver, all you'll have to do in the winter, if you want to keep driving those cars, is stay around the south areas of the map, because you won't really have to deal with the snow. You might have to deal with, just some slightly wet roads, but that's about it. Now, if you are keen to drive some big trucks, lifted vehicles, and off-road vehicles, you can come up north, play around in the snow all you want, and you'll be good to go, which I think that is an awesome choice on their part to make sure that the weather itself was more dependent on where you were on the map than anything else. I mean, as you can see right here, he's splashing through a river that is not frozen over. You can see there's a little bit less snow in this area. I mean, it's still a little bit of you can still see it on the roads. You can still see it like packing down in the fields and on the trees and stuff like that. But that's about as far as it goes. You can also see that there's no leaves on the trees. The trees completely change in regards to what time of year it is, which I think is a really, really nice touch, a really realistic touch, and also it kind of adds to the immersion factor of the environment. You can see a little Lotus Elise kind of ripping around. Not sure it'd be my choice for a winter snowstorm, but hey, it's up to you if that's what you want to run. Here's one of the frozen lakes. You can see them just driving out across the lakes. These boats are just frozen out here, seemingly randomly, but you've got all that freedom now to go wherever you want. And they also did mention that there is a barn find out on an island, which you can only access in winter, because you need to be able to drive across the lake in order to access the island that the barn find is on. So, with that being said, I mean, you also have every single option still of what to drive. You can drive anything you want in any given season. Even if it's, if it's a Bugatti Veyron on street tires, and you want to drive it in the winter, in the snow, you can freaking go for it. I mean, I can't promise that it will be very effective, but you can still go for it, and it's a viable, not necessarily viable option, but it's a usable option. And the fact that they give you that option is the whole bread and butter of what Forza Horizon is about. Now, another thing that they focused on was the user interface, and I may be doing a separate video later on talking about just the user interface, but that was more down in kind of like, the nitty-gritty details of the actual development side of everything. But they did talk about some Forzathon stuff, which I am going to be doing a separate video on very, very soon. But I think one of the biggest things that you can really see a lot in this gameplay is you can see how much better the shadows look. The shadows look incredible. And it's not something that I noticed right off the bat, but the more I looked and looked and looked at the gameplay, I was like, holy crap, these shadows are tremendous. Like, they're wild. And you really need to, take a look at them to see how they actually really play into the game. Now, there will be more talk and more discussion about shadows later on in a separate video, but this video mainly was to show that northern area of the map with the Raptor roaming around. You can also see that there is a snowman back there, which you can go and destroy if your evil evil heart so desires. You also get a bonus for that, by the way, in case you were wondering on what would happen when you destroyed a snowman. But the winter, I think it's starting to grow on me. I definitely was a little bit iffy about winter for a while, but it adds so much to the atmosphere of the game. It adds so much to the off-roading aspect of the game that those things combined together really kind of pushed me a little bit closer to having a little bit better of a regard for winter, because I gotta be honest, like, winter was not necessarily my favorite season. I mean, it was like kind of one of those things I was like, oh, that'll be interesting, maybe. But the more I see about it, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This is looking really, really legit. And you can also see, like, with the fir trees, you've actually got snow that'll sit on the fir trees, which is really, really cool. If you drive through any areas that are kind of like, muddy or kind of, wet areas, some of the water will actually still be wet. I mean, this is from that particular showcase event, and it transitions over to this quarry, and some of the water and the mud will be frozen over and kind of crusted over, whereas some of the water will also still be... Basically, you'll still be able to splash through it and things like that. So we also get a full look at the winter map. Now, I'll show you guys this version, and as well, I'll put the actual like just picture version of the map on the screen later on in the video. But this is kind of an interesting look at how the map changes in winter, because the map, it's actually a completely different map. So that's a really cool aspect. And you also see the menu here, and then you get back into the game and you actually can kind of, see what's going on again. Now, one thing that I think is very important to talk about is the car mastery feature. Now, the car mastery feature is basically, so if you remember unlocking perks in Forza Horizon 3 that applied universally to all of your cars, now you have a skill tree, or basically a skill tree, a perk tree for every single vehicle. So that allows you not only to go through a lot more progression, but it allows for vehicle-specific perks. So basically additional perks that will help you earn skill chains faster and or keep skill chains faster, depending on what you're doing. There's actually one perk here that will allow you, it will basically give you a second chance if you hit a traffic car, which is a huge deal, because nobody, like, that is something that I honestly, like, that would save so many skill chains. I mean, we've seen what happened in my Forza Horizon 3 videos where I'm like, no, he hit me, and like, it's one of those things that you just gotta, you gotta go, well, I gotta restart my combo now. But now we will have a feature where you can actually, where each skill chain will now take 2 collisions to break instead of 1, but you only get that if you pay the 25 skill points to unlock that perk. And again, like I said, these are all vehicle specific now, and when you sell a vehicle on the auction house, it gets sold with that particular set of perks. So maxed out vehicles might go for more on the auction house than a standard vehicle that hasn't had its skill tree maxed out at all. So that is definitely an interesting feature, and I can't wait to see how that actually plays once the game comes out, and that'll be one that I'm very keen on checking out. We also see here that, for example, with a different car like the Ford Capri Forza Edition, there's a few different perks to choose from. There's a dirt-specific perk, there's a drift perk, and all of these perks, basically, like I said before, allow you to build your skill chains faster. So either retain more points or build them faster or build a multiplier faster. And I think it's a really, really cool system, and it really rewards you for sticking with a car. If you have a favorite car, then you'll definitely benefit from using it more and more and more. Now, one thing though is that if you have one car that you specifically like to use, or you're specifically good at getting skill points in or building skill chains in, you can take the points that you earn in that car and actually spend them on a different car. This is a really interesting thing, and I'm glad that they did it that way. So the points are still universal. You can use them on any car you want, but it's just the trees now that are individualized to each car. So if you guys enjoyed this video of Forza Horizon 4 gameplay, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Like the video if you enjoyed. Tell me in the comments below what you guys thought of it and what your new favorite feature is. I will be back again soon with some more Forza Horizon 4 gameplay, including off-roading in the snow. So, hope you all stay tuned. See you guys there.